Live from the NJ.com studio comes the only weekly TV podcast you'll need, where a lofty critic squares off with an obsessed superfan on everything from highbrow drama to lowbrow reality. The cocktail shaker is ready. Prepare for your TV hangover. Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hello and welcome to TV Hangover. I am Erin Medley, back from vacation.
And I'm Vicki Hyman, back from the sick bed.
We both had interesting weeks last week. Mine involved Bermuda.
Mine involved bed, NyQuil, and then every time I was conscious, watching Luke Cage on Netflix.
Which we will talk about.
Yes, we will talk about.
And I will say that while I was away on my vacation, my cruise to Bermuda, the one thing that you don't get on a cruise is regular television.
What do you get?
You get like 12 channels just for the cruise, like all cruise related, like things to do in port or the view from the bridge or shopping, like that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Then you get 2 channels, one called favorite TV shows.
I can't even imagine what that was on a cruise.
Called favorite movies.
NCIS, like...
Okay. Here we go. You ready? Because, by the way, plays in a loop. Mm. So, like, let's say you're always in your room at 3 o'clock. You're probably going to see the same show every day. It was Person of Interest.
Okay.
2 Broke Girls. Community.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen the Community Halloween episodes multiple times. Chicago Fire. You know, I was in for that one. I was in for that one. The Discovery Channel, like some random Discovery Channel show that I always turned off. Some cartoon I didn't understand, so I always turned that off.
How much were you in your room, Erin?
Not a ton, but when I would go back to my room at night, to, you know, go to bed, it was always Community. Mm-hmm. So that's why I've seen the Community episodes multiple times. And if I'm in my room like mid-afternoon, it was always 2 Broke Girls, which I'd never seen before.
Really?
Never. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. 6 seasons.
6. It premiered on Monday night. Season 6. Here's what I don't understand about 2 Broke Girls. The character played by Kat Dennings is purely a punchline. Like her, she's not the punchline, but every line she delivers is the punchline. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, really? For 22 minutes every single week?
For 6 seasons.
For 6 seasons?
Well, 5 seasons, yes.
Who?
I don't know.
Are these those Big Bang Theory people?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. I can't. Well, anyway, that's what I did on the cruise. I watched a bunch of shows that I've never seen before, and I watched them in a loop every day. But other than that, it was great. I'm sorry you were sick.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at TV Hangover Show, at @E_meds, and at Vicki High, VICKIHY. We also have an email address where people have been emailing us, and we will get to that later as well. It's tvhangovershow@NJ.com. Okay, so Vicki, while I was out, toward the end of my vacation, I did, some of the other channels we got were MSNBC International and CNBC.
So you saw the news.
So I saw some of the news, yes. In the mornings, I would watch Morning Joe. You guys can't see me, but I kind of made an eye roll-esque motion. I watched Morning Joe, and so I saw the news that this tape came out about Donald Trump, presidential nominee, Donald Trump, Republican, in an interview that he did with Billy Bush, currently of the Today Show, formerly of Access Hollywood. Replaced by our girl Natalie Morales from Jersey and Rutgers. And so it was like a hot mic situation where Donald Trump and Billy Bush were having a conversation. They were both mic'd up. They weren't on camera.
Do you think that our listeners don't know about that?
I just want to make sure, in case someone has been, under a rock for the last 5-6 days.
Okay.
And so in this conversation, Donald Trump made some
incredibly lewd and crude remarks about, as it turns out, Nancy O'Dell trying to hit on her, but she's a married lady.
Yes, married lady.
Trying to hit on her like a B word. I don't even know.
Well, so many things.
I don't even know what that means.
You can watch the video online. It's everywhere. First published by Washington Post. The news this week, I mean,
beyond the
Donald Trump stuff, is that Billy Bush, who was recently hired by the Today Show, he's maybe been on air for 2 or 3 months.
Started in August.
He started with the Olympics. He has now come under fire for his participation in the video. And people are saying he could be fired from the Today Show. Now, if you've been following Billy Bush's tenure, very short tenure on the Today Show, you know that he's already gotten to one spat with Al Roker and Natalie Morales
over when he was sort of defending
Ryan Lochte. He broke the Ryan Lochte news.
"Quote unquote news." Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, that will tie into
so
where we're going.
Billy Bush was vested in it. I understand that he was vested in the story.
Because he broke the news.
But even when Al Roker was trying to Al Roker's like he lied. Even when Al Roker was trying to move on, Billy Bush was still like,
Right. It's like one of those times where you should just shut your mouth, but he didn't. So it hasn't been a great start for Billy Bush.
No.
Now look, here's what I'll say. I've never been a huge fan of Billy Bush. I find him quite irritating, actually, and I was disappointed when they announced he was joining the Today Show in place of Natalie, who I don't find irritating and I like a lot. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, he could leave the Today Show and it wouldn't make any difference to me whatsoever. Do I think that his comments on the tape were more reprehensible than Donald Trump's comments? No.
No, but we're talking about the Today Show and not whether he should be running for president.
Well, yes. Well, a lot of stars are coming to Billy Bush's defense.
Which I saw that, but I didn't figure out who it was because I was like, oh, you're kidding me. Really? You have nothing better to do with your time than come to Billy Bush's defense?
Well, okay. So let's use stars loosely here because some of the people, I mean, I love her. Kate Walsh, formerly of Private Practice.
And not much else recently.
Correct.
Although she does have beautiful hair.
She does, lovely hair. Piers Morgan, also questionable celebrityism. Celebrityism? Is that a word? I made that up, right? Jamie Lee Curtis, actual celebrity.
Well, what does Jamie Lee Curtis say?
Jamie Lee Curtis tweeted, "Let's not just throw deleted account Billy Bush, who is not running for president under the bus emoji. It is at real Donald Trump whose comments are repugnant." Now, I watched the video. You watched the whole video, right?
I watched the whole video.
Okay, so we're going to do our where we stand on this issue. Personally, I think that Billy Bush should be fired. And here's why. The Today Show is not Access Hollywood. All right, it's also not 60 Minutes, but
yes.
However, I do think that there is a standard there. And while he did not say any curse words or any other crude language on the tape, what I found most repugnant, to use Jamie Lee Curtis's word, is after having that conversation with Donald Trump where he says that he wants to, kiss women without their permission and grab their P word. Billy Bush introduces him to this soap actress and then says, "Why don't you give him a hug? He just got off the bus."
He's a hug enabler.
That
it was gross.
Was a step too far.
And then, like, how about a little hug for the Bushy?
Yes, for the little. And then he said, then he tried to squeeze between them. And that, to me, was terrible. That sealed the deal. Before that, I was like, okay, I can understand being in an uncomfortable situation and playing along, because we've all done that.
I agree with you, but the one other aspect is that I believe they were talking about Nancy O'Dell. Nancy O'Dell was one of Billy Bush's colleagues at the time.
Correct.
And so he could have said, not step off, Donald, but, I think he could have pulled it back because you're talking about his colleague, and he didn't. And I think that pragmatically, I think they should get rid of him because, I don't think it's going to play well with any of his colleagues at the Today Show. And I don't think it's going to play well with the women who watch the Today Show. They're going to see him and just cringe and be like, ugh.
Which is what I did before this even came out.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's funny because you said we were going to disagree. I think he should be fired.
Okay. I thought you were going to say,
No.
Okay.
Oh, no. Not when it comes to things like that. Like I said, before it got to the point where he offered that woman up to hug Donald Trump, I was kind of like, all right. But that made him like a co-conspirator to me.
An enabler.
An enabler.
Pervy enabler.
And
enabler of perv.
And you know what? We're not going to go all feminist on you guys, but I will say I have seen this behavior before, and it is disgusting every single time. Mm-hmm. So this just really, like, thinking about it makes me want to vomit.
And also, it's Billy Bush. And I'm sorry, it's like, I don't even understand, like, kind of why they hired him in the first place.
Either.
I know that he has a lot of experience interviewing tons and tons of celebrities, but
how hard is it to
he's a
interview
45-year-old frat boy. I mean,
I completely
why
agree.
are women going to be interested in him?
He
in the
still
morning?
goes by Billy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So
Bye-bye.
I would but adios. Hope to never see you again. And really, if anything, they should give us more Willie Geist. Because I love Willie Geist.
Yeah, another New Jersey person who's actually intelligent and I would enjoy seeing in the morning. All right, so let's move on from bottom of the barrel to Real Housewives of New Jersey, which is like a whole other level of low. What does John Oliver say about look up, that's rock bottom? Yeah, okay.
We've surpassed it. So this week we're going to talk about 2 weeks worth of Housewives because we didn't have a show last week, and last week's episode was the most dramatic of the season.
Episode, and I have to tell you, it turns out that I really enjoy watching Real Housewives in Jersey when I don't have to recap it, because I didn't recap the fight episode because it was Rosh Hashanah and I was, busy.
Right.
And so my colleague Amy recapped it, and I just got to watch it at my leisure, and it was very entertaining.
So this was the episode where it's post Jacqueline's fight with Robin, unknown person.
But check NJ.com. I'll explain to you who she is.
Vicki has the scoop. So this is the week after that fight, and Jacqueline talks to Siggy and Dolores and says, she's afraid or she feels threatened
by Robin.
So
somebody's got to go.
Someone has to go. And Jacqueline has already said that she would go. Mm-hmm. But then somehow, like, Dolores and Siggy turn that into, like, Robin and her wife have to go.
Yeah.
Before I continue with my recap over this episode, can I just state that in the last 2 episodes, I feel like Siggy has placed herself in situations where she claims she does not want to be, however she puts herself there, and also has been miscommunicating what Jacqueline has actually said to her, or allowing people to misinterpret her retelling of events. So case in point, when Jacqueline is totally fine with leaving, saying, that she felt threatened, the way that Siggy presented it to Melissa and Teresa was like, well, Robin and her wife have to go because Jacqueline feels threatened. And I didn't feel like that's the way that Jacqueline presented it, right? So then that riled up Teresa and Melissa. And so it turns out that Robin and her wife do leave. Because they feel like, if Jacqueline's feeling threatened and she's Teresa's longtime friend, then they should be the ones to go. But then Melissa and Teresa are very upset about that. They think that Jacqueline's overreacting and being a drama queen, which, kind of was.
Well.
All right, got it. So then that leads to this dinner that they have where Jacqueline, the dinner confused me. Can you help? I didn't know why she was asking Melissa about Strippergate and, like, how do we get from point A to where they were?
They sat down and very immediately there was a lot of tension between between Teresa and Jacqueline.
Because Teresa was on Robin's side. And this was the other thing, sorry, is that when Robin and Jacqueline were having the fight, the only 2 housewives there were Dolores and Siggy, other than Jacqueline, obviously. And Teresa and Melissa weren't there at all. So the only side of the fight, of what happened in the fight they heard was from Robin. They never heard Jacqueline's side. Continue.
Well, Siggy was trying to explain and she was putting herself in the middle saying, well, let's find out exactly what happened with the fight. Jacqueline, you start. And quite frankly, I don't remember what happened because next thing you know, Jacqueline is attacking Melissa, and they bring up Strippergate.
Right.
And you have
Which
to
at
remember,
this point
this
is how many
4
years?
years ago.
Exactly.
It's 2012. I looked it up. And the point that Jacqueline was trying to get across was that, why Melissa was siding with Teresa over Jacqueline when Jacqueline has had her back all these years, and Jacqueline is the one who told her that Strippergate was coming when Teresa is the one who was involved in setting it up, even though Teresa says she wasn't.
Right.
But she was certainly more integral to setting it up because she was there.
Okay, so I found this whole scene fascinating now that you've fully explained it to me, even though watching it, I was like, okay. Jacqueline's approach was completely off. However, I can see where she was coming from when she was getting really heated with Melissa, where she said to her, did I not tell you that this was going to happen? And instead of just saying yes because she did, she tried to like straddle the line because she doesn't
want to say that Teresa did this and bring it all up again. Because Teresa, everybody treats Teresa like she's a 2-year-old.
Which we talked about in the last episode.
That's what it comes down to.
So
everybody's got to tiptoe around Teresa.
100%. So in that moment, while Jacqueline was a little off her rocker.
And to be fair, I mean, nobody likes she's pointing at her.
She is pointing in her face and yelling at her. No one likes that. But I could see where the frustration came in. And Melissa's like, well, you won't even let me answer. Well, no offense, Melissa, but while you're saying all those words, you could just say yes.
Yes.
And then this wouldn't be a problem.
Well, it would be a problem.
With Teresa.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that was that whole situation. That was that episode, let's just say.
I mean, the funny thing is that we finally got to see Jacqueline, as we've seen in the clips, tell Teresa she's a criminal.
Oh, she's a criminal.
And I thought at first that Teresa would be really upset, but then she just pretended like, oh, she's threatened, whatever.
Right. The whole thing... These women have the maturity of like 15-year-olds.
This is Real Housewives.
These were conversations I had in high school.
This is what it is.
I guess. Okay, so now let's fast forward to this week's episode. So this is the aftermath of that dinner.
It's like the exact opposite of like, I was so not interested in this episode because it is the worst kind of Real Housewives episode, which is just you get all the women together in different permutations and they talk about the thing that happened without anything else happening.
Right, nothing else was going on.
Nothing else going on.
I will say we did see Kim D this week.
Yeah.
Kim D, and there were talks of multiple fashion shows and events.
Yes.
And Siggy, again, whom in the beginning of the season, I think we were both like, oh, she could be fun, has proven to be the most needy person on this cast.
Well, the first 10 minutes of the show, it was all about Siggy feeling that Jacqueline wasn't talking to her. Right. And maybe she think that Jacqueline had her back.
Because she didn't return a text message.
Yeah, and so I think Jacqueline's mind was a little more concerned with Melissa and Teresa at that point.
Which Jacqueline said.
Yes, and then Jacqueline tells her that, and it's like, okay, problem solved. But then Siggy was like, well, just wanted to make sure that my feelings were heard. I understand she's a relationship expert and everything. But this, I felt, was a little beyond the pale.
It was beyond. Not only that, but she starts crying, like, on Jacqueline's porch. You remember? And then Jacqueline goes, are you on your period? And then
she doesn't get that anymore.
She doesn't get that anymore. It was pretty funny. But Siggy made it all about her. It was a situation that had nothing to do with her. Mm-hmm. And then throughout the entire episode, she's like, I don't want to be in the middle. I don't want to be caught up in this. But she keeps putting herself in the middle.
Especially by specifically telling Melissa, I'm not going to go to your event. I'm not going to go to Kim's event. Oh, but are you going to Jacqueline's event? Well, yes. Well, why? Well, okay, right. I will be going. I won't be going. It was like...
It was one of the dumber things that I've ever seen. Now, there were a couple things in this episode I wanted to discuss with you. Mm-hmm. One was during the fight, in the previous episode, Jacqueline says to Melissa, you've had 4 nose jobs, or something to that effect.
Yes.
And Melissa's like, what are you talking about? Blah, 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 right? This episode, Melissa admits that she has had a nose job, and she says it's the worst kept secret.
But it's her secret to tell.
I have a problem with this.
Really? Why?
Number one, when it was brought up last in the restaurant, she should have just said, yeah, I had a nose job, so what? Now, all of a sudden, in this episode, it's, yeah, I had a nose job, so what? Well, and why wasn't it so what last week?
Well, I'm going to come to Melissa's defense here. I mean, like, it's the heat of the moment. I'm sure, like, she expects things to come up, but she probably doesn't expect her nose job to come up. And since she's never really talked about it, it's probably like,
But it's one of those things, you don't watch What Happens Live, and I watch What Happens Live on Bravo. And I know that's a question that has been asked in the past, and she's never said yes. And it's like, I hate these housewives, and I know them all, who have cosmetic surgery and
Jacqueline.
and then don't want to say that they have, like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not something that people will not notice. When they show those flashbacks of what Melissa looked like,
oh my God, she did have a nose job.
Like, how different did she look in those first seasons? So it's just like, oh, whatever. Who cares? You had a freaking nose job. So what? Your boobs aren't real either.
She owned it this week. I'm just saying, I think she was just caught up and surprised.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
All right. So the other thing I want to talk to you about was Kim D's fashion show,
which seemed much more low rent than her other fashion shows.
Low rent, low budget. Those models models were.
They looked like the kids of her clients. Let's not criticize them. They're probably local
children.
People. No, they look like 18-year-old kids of people who shop at Posh.
Let me tell you who they don't look like.
Models?
Yes. All right, that's all I'm going to say.
All right.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
But what I did like in that scene, and this is where I always say, I think that Jacqueline is very misunderstood because she does not know how to communicate clearly. When Kim D was trying to say something about who she was talking about.
Joe. About Joe. She brought up the Joe cheating rumors. She brought up Joe cheating,
and Dolores and Jacqueline, neither one participated.
Jacqueline did say something.
What did she say?
She said, whatever their marriage is, it works for them, or something like that. Which I thought was kind of like, she's not jumping to Teresa's defense.
But she's also not throwing her under the bus. I think that's what people would say. Like, I'm not in someone else's marriage, so whatever works for them.
I thought it was closer to throwing under the bus than jumping to her defense.
I think that was the most middle of the road that she could go. I think she could have really gone in with Kim D.
She could have. I'm just saying, I think she went a little bit more to the bus side.
All right. Oh, we can agree to disagree on that one. And then what else did we see? Oh, we saw Teresa and Joe Gorga have their little lunch date.
Yeah, I can't remember what that was about.
Who knows what was it about? Okay. How their brother and sister. There were a lot of flashback clips this episode.
Yeah, it was actually one of my favorite parts of the episode because we got to see Joe Gore with a little mustache and dancing with Teresa. I screenshotted that.
That was probably at the Brownstone, let's be honest. Probably. So all in all, it was an okay episode. Our housewives are chugging along here. Next week we see Joe Giudice head off to prison.
Yes. And then, presumably, an episode or two after that, we're going to have the NB fashion show.
Right, which you attended.
Which I attended. You could actually see me in the footage.
Blurred out,
probably.
So that we should make that a contest. If you can spot Vicki in the Real Housewives of New Jersey and the only footage,
one wearing Damscos.
Why are you going to give it away? Don't give it away.
You can't
screen grab it and then tweet it. And the winner will get a shout out here on the podcast. Okay. That's what we're gonna do. So who knows? It could come up next week, the week after that, couple weeks. Who knows? Be on the lookout for.
Actually, it's funny Vicki. Because I do recall I was chowing down on some eggplant rollatini, and I turn around and I see Kathy or Teresa stalking away from Kathy, and there's nobody else in the room except for me, and I'm like, oh my god, did I just miss something?
Should have been paying attention. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to give us a quick Survivor update. We have our New Jersey contestant, Will Wall, the youngest Survivor contestant ever, 18 years old. He's on the Millennials tribe. They're still doing that. He's still on the show. That's all I can say.
Okay.
They don't really show him that much. I mean, that's it.
Okay.
He's not a big player right now, but he's flying under the radar. His name has not been written down at Tribal Council yet. Moving on to Netflix. Mm-hmm. Netflix premiered one highly anticipated show and then a documentary that sort of came out of nowhere that people were excited about in the last few weeks.
Fair enough.
Luke Cage is the show, spinoff of Jessica Jones.
Well, I mean,
right?
It sort of is a spinoff of Jessica Jones, but they're all sort of
part of the Marvel
universe?
Street
is it Marvel
level, or is it the other one?
No, it's Marvel.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
What's the other one?
DC.
Right.
Part of the Marvel street level crime fighters, vigilantes.
They're more like the real people superheroes.
Yes, that are eventually going to come together and be the Defenders. After
is that going to be another show?
Oh yeah. Oh my god, you have no idea.
After what?
Well, I mean, there's going to be a third season of Daredevil. There's going to be a second season of Jessica Jones. There's going to be the Iron Fist, which I think is the next one to come out. There might even be a Punisher out there somewhere.
Anyone look? I'm not a
and then there's going to be the Defenders.
I'm not a comic book person, but no one thinks it's weird that all these superheroes live in New York. They can't spread out. What doesn't LA need saving?
I don't know. Well, that's DC, so I don't know.
Chicago. Miami. I'm just saying. So you watched how many episodes? 10?
I watched 4. It's 13 episodes, and I was basically unconscious from Friday until yesterday.
Right.
And so I watched 4 episodes. when, as TV critic problems, hashtag TV critic problems, when they give you a whole bunch of screeners ahead of time, sometimes I feel like I have to watch all of them in order to, and I like last week, there was no way I was going to get to all of them. And so I was like, well, I will take a pass and just write a little piece saying, hey, this is coming. And so when it started streaming on Friday, that's when I started picking it up.
Oh, okay.
So I watched 4 episodes, and I'm actually pretty into it. You guys know that Jessica Jones was one of my favorite shows of last year. Luke Cage is probably between Jessica Jones and Daredevil. Daredevil, I got stuck on like the 6th or 7th episode.
Yeah,
of the
I
first
couldn't
season.
get into it.
It's like a little too dreary. I wasn't into it.
Right.
I'm really enjoying Luke Cage. I do think that is a little bit plotting. And that the action, which there should be action, it's a superhero thing. They always seem to come in the last like 5 or 10 minutes of the episode. And when it comes, it's like, oh my God, this is awesome. I mean, Luke Cage, he's got impenetrable skin. He's got super strength. So it's just seeing people try to attack him. He's like throwing car doors at people. There's this one slow-mo of somebody punching him, and you can see like the guy's wrist break. It sounds gross, but it's actually quite awesome. And Mike Coulter, who plays Luke Cage, is wonderful. He may be he's almost a little too white hatty compared to Jessica Jones and, really compared to Jessica Jones, who had her own angst going on. He certainly has angst too. His wife had died.
Killed.
Yes, was killed by Jessica Jones. But, he's a very learned guy. He has, like, interesting conversations with the people he works around. And he's a reluctant superhero, but events happen in basically the 2nd episode where he has to be the protector of Harlem. All this takes place in Harlem, in a very cool Harlem.
Of course.
There's a lot of the action takes place in a club that is owned by the villain of the piece, played by Crossing Jordan alum Mahershala Ali, who used to be known as Mahershala Hashbaz Ali.
Wait, but who was he on Crossing Jordan? Which one? The bug guy?
I can't remember. I just remember he was from Crossing Jordan.
I love Crossing Jordan.
We both love Crossing Jordan. So he plays Cottonmouth, who is, he's a criminal. He's a gun runner. And he is working with his cousin, played by Alfre Woodard, who is, at this point, kind of unused. I mean, you cast Alfre Woodard in a show, you expect her to bring the Alfre, and she is not really... The character's not really doing all that much yet, but from what I understand, she comes more to the fore in the next few episodes that I haven't seen yet. So she plays a politician.
Yeah.
She plays a politician who is using money from her criminal cousin to fund sort of altruistic things in the Harlem neighborhood, keeping Harlem black, fighting off gentrification, but, making the neighborhood safe sort of thing. So it's very interesting. They've called it like Marvel's attempt at The Wire. Don't really see that yet, but I am very interested and very intrigued. Probably my favorite character is a police detective named Misty Knight, who I think in the Marvel Universe also has her own superhero powers. Right now she's just a kick-ass police detective played by Simone Missick, and she's also Luke Cage's love interest. It's good.
So there's no hope for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, is what you're saying.
I mean, they're gonna come back together at some point.
That's true.
But I don't really miss Jessica Jones because I think that Simone Missick is a wonderful
So you're saying I should watch this show?
I think you should.
All right, I'll give it a try.
I'm just warning you, it is a little bit plotting.
Okay, that's fine. You forgot to mention the most important thing. Like, this person keeps popping up everywhere, and I don't know how he does it. It's insane.
Ron Cephas Jones
from Paterson, New Jersey. How many times have I brought him up on the show? He's been in everything. He was on Mr. Robot.
He was on Mr. Robot, and he was on the Netflix show The Get Down.
The Get Down, yes. He's
in NBC's This Is Us.
Yes. He's the father. The man is everywhere. It's crazy. We need to get him on the show, Vicki, because I need to know.
I can probably make it happen.
He's like the Samuel L. Jackson of TV. Like Sam Jackson shows up in like a ton of movies a year. I think Ron Cephas Jones. And it adds cool cred. I think that's Ron Cephas Jones. It's crazy town. The guy who was on Crossing Jordan, I do remember him. He played... Now, of course, I have to look it up because Crossing Jordan was on so long ago. Trey Sanders, who I think was a love interest for like a hot second for Jordan.
No, I don't know. I think he was like a regular person on the show.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Maybe. All right. Well, Vicki...
Flashback to the 90s.
Yeah.
Was it the 90s?
No, 2001, 2002.
Oh, okay.
So Vicki recommends Luke Cage. Something that I recommend on Netflix is Amanda Knox, which is a documentary about Amanda Knox. Yeah. And she was the young woman from Seattle, I believe, who was convicted of murdering her roommate Meredith Kercher in Perugia, Italy. Back in the early 2000s.
Can I just tell you, I missed everything with Amanda Knox. I paid absolutely no attention to that story whatsoever.
You should definitely watch the documentary.
I guess I should.
You'll like it. I paid very close attention to it, and I think the documentary does a good job of presenting the facts. They speak to not only Amanda Knox and Raffaello Sollecito, who was her boyfriend at the time. They also speak to the lead prosecutor from Italy, and they say, oh God, this is the one part where everyone has a strong opinion about this one gentleman whose name I don't recall, but honestly, I don't really care because I don't like him. No, he's a reporter for the Daily Mail, and he covered the case. And I kid you not, Vicki, as a journalist, there's one part where he goes, there was so much news coming out about the case from all different directions. I didn't have time to fact check it all, so I didn't want to miss the news cycle.
So I think
he's
confusing news for rumors then.
That is correct. But he calls himself a journalist multiple times. There's no journalistic integrity with this guy at all. And you can tell through watching the documentary that a lot of things that were said about Amanda Knox, like they started calling her Foxy Knoxy and saying she was involved in a sexual sadism and all these other crazy things about her. The police in Italy told her that she had HIV and made her write down all of her lovers in a diary, and then stole the diary and gave it to the press, including this guy, and they just published it. And then guess what? She didn't have HIV. They just made that up. So I think the documentary is very interesting. I will say this: Amanda Knox, although now declared innocent by the Supreme Court in Italy, is a weird lady.
Do you think she was made weird, or she started off weird?
She even admits in the beginning of the documentary that she was always different. And I think that may have contributed to her looking guilty. Like, one of the things the Italian prosecutors said was her behavior after the murder was not what he would expect. And that was one of the reasons why he thought she was guilty. Now, I don't know how you expect people to act after their roommate, whom they've only known for a few weeks, has been murdered. But it is a little odd that, her boyfriend in this case, Raffaello, they had only been seeing one another for 5 days.
Okay, not really her boyfriend. Do you leave the show knowing who you think killed the roommate?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We know who killed her.
Oh, who killed her? I don't even know that.
Oh, because there's another.
I don't even know.
No, there was a third guy who was convicted and is in prison. Can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but no, he even admitted that he, did it. The whole reason that Amanda and Raffaello were convicted again is because this prosecutor had this idea that she wasn't behaving the way that she should have. And also there was one point where Raffaello in the beginning said that she did do it, which, by the way, would not be my boyfriend after that. But, that happens a lot in interrogations where, the subject is really tired, or, they've been deprived of
making
everything.
A murderer.
Yes, exactly.
Can I go watch, can I get out to watch wrestling?
Yeah, exactly. So I would say it's a very good documentary, and I would recommend it for anyone who's into such things like me. So that's our Netflix update for this week. So now we're 3 weeks into the TV season, regular TV season. There were a lot of shows that you and I both loved based on the pilots. And now that we're a few weeks in, let's discuss whether or not our feelings have changed.
Okay.
All right. So you go first. What do you have on your list?
I have The Good Place.
That's the Kristen Bell, Ted Danson NBC
one,
show.
Which is chugging along quite nicely. I think a lot of people had doubts whether this sort of fantastical Pygmalion in heaven or The Good Place would actually pan out. But I think they're doing really interesting things every episode. They're introducing a lot of funny backstories to the characters. Have you been keeping up with it?
No.
Okay, I think it's like 4 or 5 episodes now. You find out that spoiler alert, that Kristen Bell's character Eleanor is not the only person who is mistakenly in the good place, and that the reason why the beautiful Indian British woman, her boyfriend, the Tibetan monk or wherever he is, doesn't speak is because he's actually like a Korean American pothead from like Orlando, so he's also in the wrong place.
Right.
And I think it's really fun. It's still very quirky, and I'm glad that they only got a 13 episode order because I think that's the right amount for the show. So I'm still on board with it.
So by mid-season, the show will be off the air.
Oh, no.
No, I don't mean canceled.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes. It's like, no, don't say that.
No. Okay, so I think I've watched 3 episodes, so it's not like I'm really far behind. I can certainly catch up. I heard a theory that they are actually not in the good place that is heaven, if we're going to equate, that they're in the good place that is purgatory, and that there's actually a greater place.
Oh, and so people are being tested?
Correct, because there's something off about all of them, that none of them are actually that good. So, I mean, that could be an interesting way to go, right? All right, well, I'll catch up on that one. So a show that I was in for, and I think you were too, Vicki, based on the pilot, was Designated Survivor. With Kiefer Sutherland. It's on ABC. He's now the president after everyone was killed in an explosion at the Capitol. I'm on a fence with it. I thought episode 2 was kind of boring. It was the aftermath of the bombing, and he's getting his sea legs or whatever with being president. And I was like, meh. Virginia Madsen was introduced as a larger character. Now episode 3, which aired last week, we see that there may be a power struggle between Kiefer Sutherland's character and Virginia Madsen's character. We're getting a little more about the mystery of who blew up the Capitol and why. That's the whole Maggie Q, Malik Yoba storyline. It brought me back, but I'm still a little on the fence.
I am still moving along with that.
Okay.
At the very beginning, I was like, what direction they're going to go? And I really was worried that they're going to go too much into the investigation. They're going to have Kiefer Sutherland rip off his shirt and, start chasing after the bad guys.
Right.
And I think he is like a little, I don't know, he's a little too intent on that for everything else that he has to do, like creating a cabinet and stuff. I actually find the wonky parts of it extremely interesting, and I like them.
Like the parts about actually governing.
Yes, and I really like the West Wingian moments. Like there was one in last week's episode where he talks to the current president's son, who he finds out. there's like a little intrigue about who's going to deliver the eulogy,
right?
And he finds out in the end that he was actually estranged from his father, and he gives this like loving like more. I liked it.
I know you did.
I want to see a little bit more of that.
Don't you think, though, that they're trying to tell too many stories?
Yes, absolutely.
Because if we count them, okay,
get rid of the son and his drug
son
problem.
And the drugs and the wife. Honestly, get rid of the wife, who has a really weird accent.
She's not American, right?
But is she American on the show?
I think she's American on the show.
Okay, well then it's not working
because she's Irish.
That accent slips in and out like nobody's business. But they can get rid of her too. And then we have a storyline with Maggie Q, and she was sleeping with a married senator or something who died. Who cares? Number one. Then we have there's this mystery senator who was there before the bombing, but then wasn't there when the bombing happened, but then was found.
That it's getting to be a little bit 224, where they're putting in this new thing every single week. And where's it going to go?
Then we get the woman who was Kiefer Sutherland's assistant before, and then she wasn't made chief of staff, and this other I don't need this many storylines. Maybe like 2 or 3 storylines, not 5 or 6, one for every person. And the Secret Service guy is a little too involved. Like, are they that involved?
I don't know.
Like, they were talking about something that had to do with national security, and he's like chiming in, and I'm like, what? Who are you? You're supposed to be seen, not heard. But anyway, whatever. Okay, so Designated Survivor on the fence. Go. What else?
This Is Us. Only 2 episodes.
But what happened last week? The debate?
Probably, yes. The debate was
okay. I was like, why wasn't it on?
I got an email or a tweet from Jack Lugo, who mentioned that, I'm liking it, but is there going to be a twist every single week?
Right.
And I didn't think that the twist was really quite as twisty. Because I think there was a mention in the first episode that, maybe Milo Ventimiglia's character was not in the picture anymore.
Right. I thought they said he was dead.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got the impression that he just wasn't around anymore.
Right.
So when when Mandy Moore, I have to learn their characters' names. When Mandy Moore showed up with the best friend, I was
from
like,
Castle.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes. So excited.
I was like, okay, no, I am totally in. I loved it. I thought it was great. I wouldn't mind like little twisties here and there. I still wonder. Going forward, how are they going to be at different ages every single time and be juggling a lot of different things?
That there are 6-time.
It seems like a lot.
6-time jump. They're not really jumps, but you'll see 6-time periods.
They're babies or toddlers. They're 10-year-olds or 15-year-olds.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So we'll have to see how that works. I will say that my favorite scenes are the ones with Sterling K. Brown and the lovely actress that plays his wife and Ron Cephas Jones. I really wish I could speak to the creators because I feel like there's some ad-libbing going on there because it's so natural the way that they communicate that it seems hard to, for me, it seems like they would be difficult for someone to write that. So I'm just curious if anyone knows. But I'm still in for This Is Us. And the new episode comes on Tuesday night at its new time of 9 p.m. All right. So my other show that I'm in for that you at first were totally against it. And then you watched it and you were like, I'm not going negative. And you were like, I'm not going to watch it, but it wasn't that bad. Conviction.
Okay.
So I watched Monday night's episode.
I did not.
And I still like it. I still think it's a good procedural. Here's the problem, though. If they're going to investigate these cases every week. So the first week they investigated a case and the kid turned out to be innocent. So they got him off. This week's episode, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, I'm sure you won't anyway. It was a case involving 3 juveniles who were accused of raping a woman and they were convicted. Turns out 2 of them were innocent, 1 of them was guilty. So now I'm thinking, okay, well, what is it going to be next week? Like the person's is going to be guilty and then they stay in jail. And then like, how do you move forward from there with a case of the week situation? Like, is the person always going to be innocent? I just don't know how they're going to do this for 22 episodes.
Well, I mean, if the procedural is, if it's basically a mystery whodunit every single week. Did the person do it? Did the person not do it?
Or did they not do it?
I mean, and they're going to pick, cases where there's always going to be questions. So I really have no problem with, sometimes they're being guilty, sometimes they're not. I don't have a problem with that.
All right. I mean, I still like it. I'm just curious.
Can I just tell you how weird it is to see Jennifer Aniston's old boyfriend as like the older love interest? He plays the guy Tad.
The DA?
Yeah, he's the DA. He's like, I haven't
her
seen
old boyfriend in real life?
No, Friends. I mean, he played like her boy toy for like a season in Friends back in the 90s. I haven't seen him since, and now he's like got all gray hair and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm 80 years old. Sorry.
Conversation for another day. All right, let's do one more.
Oh, and I know we disagree on this one. I'm in for Timeless. Ugh. I saw it last night. I'm already Monday night. I already love time travel shows, and I think this one has just got a wonderful mix of humor and drama, and there's of course some greater mythology and the little twists, like she comes back and what's going to be changed. I'm a history nerd too.
But here's the problem with it. This is always the issue with time travel shows, is that the mythology is unclear.
They come back and they always explain it. They've been every time. This has been 2 times.
So in the episode on Monday night, they went back to the time when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated.
Yes.
So when they get back to the present time, Abraham Lincoln was not assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. He was assassinated by this other guy.
Gordon Bishop.
Yes, but they don't name. He's like unnamed assassin. And what I was confused about were the people who are in the present day, in their minds, has it always been unnamed assassin?
Yeah.
Assassin, not John Wilkes Booth.
Yes, but not for Lucy.
But not professor. For her. Or the 2 other people who were with her.
Yeah.
So their whole memories of the past are the same as they've always been. And the people who are in the future...
Yes.
Or the present, we should say, their memories are altered.
Yes.
I don't like that.
I know. I think it's pretty clear.
It's not, though, because then Lucy went to go talk to the woman who's trying to figure out why her sister was missing.
Yes. And actually, I was a little confused by that scene.
Oh, excuse me? What was
do admit
that?
it. Yeah.
But
I like
that's
it.
my problem with this show.
I like it.
That's my problem.
What can I say?
That's my problem. All right.
I'm on board.
Well, I'll take that as my number 3. I will continue to watch, but it's giving me some Revolution vibes.
Okay, fair enough.
Which I watch for its entire run. But I'm just saying, high probability it will be canceled. A show that is not on either of our lists right now, but is not doing great in the ratings, Pitch.
Pitch, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Which I have to say I have not caught up on, even though I said I liked it.
Don't waste your time. It's actually not that good. All right, so Vicki, to round out the show here, we have a little mailbag. Our friend Randy Holmes says summer season of shows was very disappointing, and I'm not really a reality show buff, which is unfortunate. I said that. So I mainly watch sports, but fall is back. Reboots, mainstays, and new concepts. Recently, you asked who is still watching Big Bang Theory, and I think it's the elderly, because I've noticed CBS is always on in any nursing home, elder care, retirement home I've been in. LOL. You know what, Randy? You're absolutely correct.
You're absolutely right.
That brings me to my question. If you had to rank the networks so far this season, how would they rank? You can include Netflix, Amazon, and other streaming services, or just keep it to the major networks. Signed, Randy in Pittsburgh.
Let's keep it to the major networks.
All right. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Well, my favorite, I think the one who has got the strongest lineup is very clear because all the 3 shows that I'm sticking with are all on NBC. Good Place, This Is Us, and Timeless. Although, if I'm going to go to my second, I'd say ABC is pretty strong with Speechless, which I think is great. I like American Housewife, which premiered Tuesday night, I believe. Conviction also has the horrific, horrible Notorious, which I really still think will be the first show to be canceled.
I don't think so.
And then I probably go to CBS.
Because, yeah.
Actually, I don't even know. I mean, Fox and CBS, they're both terrible. Fox has Lethal Weapon and Pitch and Exorcist and Son of Zorn, which are like...
But you're only considering the new shows. What if you considered all programming?
I can't really do that. I'm just going to make a point about Fox. They keep on every single season. They keep on putting on the same kinds of shows, and they keep on failing.
Right.
So I don't really have much hope for Fox, even though I think that generally it's better than CBS. Like, are we talking about strength of programming? Then I'll probably give it to Fox over CBS.
Yeah.
But CBS shows are probably going to last longer.
Absolutely.
So
my ranking, I always put ABC first, no matter what, because when I combine old and returning shows, they have the best lineup for most nights. Then I'd say NBC. Then I would actually go...
But NBC is all your Chicago shows.
Only 2. I do not watch Med, okay? I draw the line.
Oh, sorry.
Only PD and Fire has not returned yet. Only PD. So I would go ABC, NBC, The CW. Because,
I forgot about the CW.
Yes. Because I do like Supergirl, and I used to be a huge fan of Vampire Diaries, so it will always hold a place in my heart. I like Frequency. And obviously Jane the Virgin.
Yeah, actually, I only still seen the first episode of Frequency, so I have to catch up on that.
Yeah, I think it's only been one.
Well,
so
the second one's tonight.
Yeah. Wednesday night,
yes.
Right? Yeah, you're good. And then I would say CBS, and then Fox is dead last for me. It's just not my cup of tea. So that's where we'd rank them, Randy. Thank you for the email. If you have an email for us, send it to tvhangover@njadvancedmedia.com. We also found out that we had a Gmail address. I think it's... Oh, wait. Our email address is tvhangovershow@njadvanced. People just tweet us. Like... It's easier. It's at TV Hangover Show, at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY, and at @E_meds. That's going to do it for us. Episode 53. We're still here, chugging along, giving our opinions, and we're glad you guys are listening. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes. It helps a lot. Our bosses like to see that. And we will be back next week.